There is an attendance list going around.
Are you presenting it?
We are. I will take maybe half the hour at the most. And then if you sign up for a cult presentation, that's what's going on today. The debate things, they'll start later this week. Okay? I'd rather have those in the small sessions rather than this overall thingy. So remember what an economy is as far as religion is concerned? No. Thank you for saying no. Does anyone remember? It's when there's choice, right? So think of your ability to choose the restaurant you're going to eat at. There's a choice. Same thing with religion in America. There's choice. You could be basically whatever religion you want, including your own religion. Go ahead. Start a sect. Including your right to not be involved in a religion. That's also your right. Okay? This map, which you do not need to memorize at all, it's just sort of an interesting map that shows the American religious economy. Various dominant religions. If you're like me, you're drawn to the red of the South. That's Baptist. Everything okay? Baptists are Christians who have a more literal interpretation of the truths of the Bible. There are other minor differences. All major religions have the same general rules. You be kind to people. Treat others as you want to be treated. Where they differ is in the actual theology. Christians believe Jesus. Muslims believe in the Quran. Jews believe in the Torah. It's these slight differences, but they all teach the same morality, except the ancient Greek and Rome. You and I live in Lutheranville and Catholicville. This area here, those are the Mormons. Also out west, you have a lot of smaller religions that get started. In parts of the Appalachians, there are Amish, or what's called Mennonite religions. This is a more varied map than any other nation on earth. No other nation can match the number of religions, whether they are dominant religions, denominations, smaller religions, sects, cults. There's no ecclesia. There's no official religion. But just some hard numbers. So every 10 years, the U.S. government collects information. The next census is in 2020, and they'll ask questions. So you may be home when the census collector rings the doorbell, and we'll ask you questions. And you have every right to not answer, by the way. But they collect information, and last time there was a census was 2010. 1,500 denominations in the U.S. alone. A denomination is a major religion. 1,500. No other nation can match that as far as that number. The 22 biggest, the 22 that have a membership of at least 1 million, no other nation can say they've got 22 different denominations with membership of at least 1 million. By the way, again, I would never test you on this stuff. True or false? Here's a funny one. True or false? At least 22 religions have membership of at least 500,000. It's true. If they have 1 million, that means they have 500,000.
Wow.
Another way of saying it is this. Don't get caught in this type of question. True or false? 10 people died during World War II. True. 10 people did die during World War II. Plus a lot of others. But 10 people did die during World War II. Oh, boy. This percentage is higher than the U.S. than any other nation. 40%, a 10-day weekly service. I'm not going to ask this, but I could ask you, how many of you, with your families or on your own, go to an official denominational weekly service? Again, maybe for you, religion is going to a beautiful waterfall, and that's where you get spiritually filled, and that's great. Okay. A lot of Americans are church members, but they don't go. Do you ever know, those of you that go, do you ever notice that during Christmas it's suddenly really crowded? Or Easter? Where are all these people every other week? Well, they're those part-timers. They're sort of members. And it's pretty common. This has been true forever. This idea, this is testable. And it goes something like this. Your well-established religions are always on decline. Always. Your sect membership is always on the incline. That's always been true, always will be true. Your well-established religions lose members. Your smaller sects increase in membership in the U.S. It's always been true. Last count, there were 417 sects recognized as so by the U.S. government, 417. And it's probably a lot higher than that. They're just really good at hiding. Because this is a truth. Think about this. All cults are sects, but not all sects are cults. There you go. All Wisconsinites are Americans, but not all Americans are Wisconsinites. Some are from Idaho. Okay. Any questions here? The only thing I would test you on is these two things. Sorry. That denominational membership is going down, sect membership is going up. And it will always be true, just by the nature of how a sect is formed. A sect usually starts when one person has an idea. Well, if he gets one person to join, you've just had 100% growth. 100%. The Catholic Church, if it loses, say, 1,000 people in the U.S., that's 1,000 out of several million. Right? Questions here? A few more slides. This slide is about the relationship of religion and public schools. So we've talked about this already. That was one of our first debates, right? Discussing the words under God in the pledge, discussing how come we don't have religious symbols on the walls of our public school. But now I'm going to show you sort of the history of it. Just a couple things. So in slide number 1, we've got the teacher saying, from now on, you have to pray. And this kid doesn't like it. So he says, I'm taking this school to court. You can't do that. And the court ruled it was unconstitutional. When did this happen? 1962. Engel v. Vitale was the Supreme Court case. It is after that case that no longer could public school teachers lead you in prayer. Now, what it doesn't mean is what I think some of you think it means. It does not mean you can't pray. Of course you can. Go ahead. Nothing's stopping me right now from stopping you from praying. Go ahead. It's just that I can't lead you in prayer. Members of the volleyball team, this year I happened to notice this, that before each game, they prayed. That's great. Athlete led, super. But what couldn't happen was I couldn't lead them in prayer. That's different.
Yeah.
Can I join in? I'll tell you what I did. I joined the circle. I didn't say anything. It's a touchy situation, and I wanted to be cognizant of that. But what definitely cannot happen is I cannot lead it. Mr. Barry, did you say something?
No, I just said sticky situation.
It is very sticky situation, right? Okay. Couple other things that are of note on this slide, and then we'll shift gears and start attacking your presentations. How many of you have ever heard of the Scopes monkey trial?
I heard of it because of the kids.
A few of you. Okay. So this happened in 1925 in the state of Tennessee. In the state of Tennessee, there was a biology teacher. His name was John Scopes. He's a teacher of biology. He's a science teacher. He taught the theory of evolution, which is the biological explanation for where life began. And according to the theory of evolution, and again, I'm not saying you have to believe this. Don't believe it. Fine. But this is the biological version. Biological version is that we evolved over millions of years from more simple forms of life. He's the science teacher. His job is to teach biology, and that included the teaching of the theory of evolution. Well, the state of Tennessee passed a law that said you cannot teach that theory. You must teach the biblical version. And again, I'm not here telling you that that was wrong or right, but what I am telling you is that the biblical version is not the science version. Okay, we can all agree on that. Do not go home tonight, those of you who believe in the biblical version, and say, Mr. Potter said the biblical version is wrong. No, I didn't. All I said was the biblical version is not the science version. The science version is called evolution. The biblical version is creationism. The state of Tennessee outlawed the teaching of evolution, required the teaching of the biblical version of where life began. John Scopes is a science teacher. So he taught evolution anyway. He rosaed. He rosaed. He broke on purpose what he believed to be an unjust law. Rosa Parks, black woman, refused to get out of her seat, even though state law in Alabama required that she get out of her seat and give it up to a black male and go to the back of the bus. She didn't. A white male. Did I say black male? A white male. She refused. She thought it was a stupid law. And ultimately, she proved to be correct. The law was overturned as unconstitutional. That's what John Scopes did. He knew what he was doing was illegal, and he did it anyway because he thought it was a stupid law. I'm a science teacher. I should teach the science version. Again, I'm not saying the right version. All I'm saying is it's the science version. And he was arrested. He was arrested. Now, his argument was not, that wasn't me, Your Honor, that was my twin. I didn't do it. Right? He did it. He broke the law. He didn't say, no, I didn't. Your Honor, I broke the law. It's a stupid law, is his argument. It was a stupid law. The same thing Rosa said. It wasn't me. Yes, it was. You didn't get out of your seat. Yeah, but that's a dumb law. That's what John Scopes did. Okay, so it went to trial. It was the trial of the century. And it's in a movie called Inherit the Wind. And it's a very good book, Inherit the Wind. Great book. Movies, He was found guilty. Of course he was found guilty. He didn't deny it. And the judge sentenced him to pay $1.
Oh, yeah, because he had to charge him, didn't he?
$1.
$1?
Yeah.
This is
$1. Basically a slap on the wrist, right? Today, the state of Wisconsin, I'm not exactly sure about this. Anybody have biology? Do we have this thing called biology in the school anymore?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you taught the theory of evolution?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Does your teacher acknowledge that evolution is an explanation, that there are other versions of where life began? Okay.
Yeah.
In some states, the teaching of evolution continues to be not emphasized. Kansas comes to mind. The state of North Carolina, this is a fun fact, the state of North Carolina passed a law a few years ago forbidding the teaching of the theory of climate change. You cannot teach that in North Carolina public schools because they're not established science. Okay. Any questions? That's where we'll stop. You have a minute or two to kind of relax and stretch and get a drink, whatever. When we come back, we're doing our PowerPoints on cults. So if you're one of these names, you're up today.
To go, we're not ready. Make it work, whatever they don't want.
You never Snapchat. Oh my God.
I thought that is that entire stack your presentation? Because you were just holding it up. I'm
I
like,
like your chances of
and
going.
then you're
today.
just like, we are ready. I'm just like, you need like 2 more stacks.
What?
Like, what?
Yeah.
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 Well, we'll see who volunteers.
Yeah, mine's on docs. I have it on my phone.
I thought you said on dogs.
Yes, I just have a dog
I
with
think
me.
this is
I'm
ours.
just, he
I
has
think this
it.
is ours.
Mr. Potter, well, guess what? We actually have the whole thing done.
Good.
But Star,